Kayuk. Kayuk, everyone. Welcome. It has been a long time since I've actually presented on my YouTube channel. And I'd like to say thank you for everyone who's viewed my YouTube channel when I've been busy working and actually, repatriating, building my nation and you know, gathering my kinfolk, my family, all the Accawmackes that are out there that need to be found and need to be informed. It's been quite a journey, and it is quite a journey. It's so funny when I look back at those YouTubes that I did much earlier because I'm such a different person from that person. I'm not such a different person. I am. I've been very effective. I have to say I am different because when I made those YouTubes, I was discovering, my nation. And I was excited. And I was hopeful. And I was naive because I was just excited about, our culture, our history, and just learning as much as I could. And hopeful in that, oh, wow, there's a Indiantown Park that I need to have this summit here. I think it's a wonderful thing. Perhaps one day, it could be a place where we could have some, do some history tours and, maybe it can be a permanent, museum or, I had, very modest, ideas at that time. It actually would have been the perfect time to insert the milk of human kindness from the powers that be, from the public officials. Because at that time, they knew a lot more than I did. And they knew very well that what was on that land, and I didn't know. They knew who that land belonged to. I didn't have the full understanding, the gravity of what was going on the Eastern Shore of Virginia. So I am going to introduce you to my Get Out of the Park video. Because as of last week, I delivered over 150, too close to 200 mailings of our notice to vacate Indiantown Park. I targeted public officials mostly, not regular folks, but public officials. But I will continue to make this announcement very widely. But I am holding all the public officials who have received my notice responsible for vacating Indiantown Park. And what I know now is that we as the Accawmacke Indians have the right to demand that they vacate this park, specifically this land, patented land, which contains the remains of our ancestors. So I just wanted to share the notice that I gave because I want to, this is also a way to announce again, to reiterate publicly what privately these public officials receive. Now, we're in a place now that the public officials are out of control. They are public servants, not officials, first of all. Servants. They serve the public. Okay? They serve the public. It's not the other way around. Right now, the way we live our lives and the way we conduct ourselves and the way we think of things, we public officials, no. They are public servants, and they work for us. And that's what they're supposed to do. And public officials that are on patented Indian territory, and they know that it's patented Indian land, are responsible for honoring that title, because it is the only true title and the supreme title to the land. Period. What they did. Let's kind of scroll back in time, but not the fake history, the real. Indians on the eastern seaboard having patents. The Negro Indians of the eastern seaboard having patents. How did that work? Well, we went to court. We had a system. We developed the judicial system as we know it. It's been polluted by immigrants and European just devious mechanisms. But ours was very, very democratic, if you want to use that word, but I would say it was very fair and equitable. We represented ourselves in court. We were familiar with doing that. We're all inside the court. And this is so funny, because when I did that video, some of the local people, the town clerk, they were familiar with the court records, and they knew that the Indians were in court all the time. You see, my understanding was based upon, my history, my knowledge, based upon my dad and my, grandparents and those people staying away from the courthouse, not really having anything to do with any legal process. No. But they knew that in the courthouse, my ancestors, we were in it all the time. We settled everything in court. It was our system. It had to be. Because in 1655 and the 20s, and there were still Powhatan wars. We were still warring. The Europeans didn't even get a chance to catch their breath, because we were still warring in the 1640s. So how would they have time to develop such a complex system and know how that works? How would they even conceive of it? Because you got to understand, the people that came here were peasants. People that had it going on wasn't about to leave their place where they had it going on in England. They wanted to get rid of peasants so they could take whatever little bit them peasants had and have more space to stretch out and be rich. Not burdened down by poverty and poor people and filth. No, the people that came here were peasants. They were actually prisoners and orphans. And on a later date, I will open up my good little book that this is sitting on right now, unfortunately, of court records of the London Company, okay, starting in 1606 to 1622. And I will show you all in writing page for page that there's no record of Africans, Negroes, blacks, coloreds, mulattoes, slaves of any sort coming here except from England, prisoners, and from England, orphans. Now that's that. Now, were there some black Europeans and some so-called black orphans? Well, I don't know. The court records talk about them in numbers of hundreds, 200 and this 200 that, but it doesn't get down to the details. But ship manifest would, and you could probably get a description of most of those people via the ship manifest. But the people that came here didn't have names they were proud of. They didn't have past they were proud of. They didn't have a lineage. They didn't have family crest they were proud of. The people that came here were castaways. And they sought to make a better life after they got casted away here via us, the American Indians. Specifically for us, the Accawmacke. All right, so I don't want to get too much into history, but when I did first do my first YouTube, because this is on my channel as well as Facebook. Hello, everyone. I wanted to make sure that I did address the fact that when I did do my first YouTube, I didn't know the corruption. I didn't know about the historical and the present day lies, crimes that are being committed. You see, people will say to you, or say to me, well, they don't really say it to me, but I know I can feel it. It's so long ago. Get over it. You want something for nothing. Really? Really? I didn't know that they have to commit current crimes, present day crime, in order to maintain the thefts of the past. When you steal historically, when you lie historically, you have to continue to feed that crime. You have to recommit the crime on a continuous basis. It's not a one and done. And when you commit the crime continuously against the people who are continuously being damaged by that, it's horrendous. And the people that think that they're good folks, I knew it. I really didn't. Your silence, it's your complacency. It's criminal. And yeah, I am peeved about this. I'm over it. I'm over this criminal corporation we call the United States and all the things that it has done, and all the other countries that are part of this criminal international corporation, and all they have done and all they do on a daily basis to decimate the American Indian and profit off of it. We feed this entire planet in so many ways, and I can't even get into it. I can't. If you could jump into my brain and know what I know, that's the goal, right? you will know what I know. Just like the Accawmacke know what I know. Everyone needs to know what I know because it's a game changer. These people have been skinwalking, not just they put on our identities in so many ways. They took on our names, told us that they were slaves. They were the names of our masters. Horrendous lies. Horrendous lies. And then they maintain it. Put on slave movies, underground, all this stuff to reinforce it. They put out money for people, grant money for people to put out buck breaking movies and doing all kinds of stuff to make you believe all these things. But they never tell you that they're the slaves. They never told you that they were slaves. How did you get here? Oh, we're discoverers and we are explorers and we are founders and we... What? You destroyed everything we had built. And we had towns and cities. And even though you would destroy them, we would build them back up again. And we keep doing it repeatedly. If you look through time, we keep rising. Anyway, I didn't want to go long. And I know it's hard for me not to. But I just really wanted for my YouTube channel to make sure that you all, there has been a change in me because of all the things I've learned by litigating. And I made a mistake because I didn't understand enough to know that I don't have to litigate. They're not qualified. They have no authority for me to have to go to court to prove what is mine. They know. And their courts, we predate the courts, and this is our land. What in the world? How in the world do they think they can just come and play make-believe in our territory and then tell us to go to court to fight to prove? What are you crazy? You see how I feel? That's what a real Indian feels when they find out the truth. That's what you feel when you learn the truth. It's not a joke. It is real and it's painful. They sit on beautiful beachfront property, and my cousins and kinfolk, many of them live on the worst dirt roads, potholes bigger than your dog, big or small, power lines hanging over their houses, because they don't care about maintaining anything for the Indians. And they know my cousins are Indians, right? But my cousins just know that their grandmama said that they had some Cherokee, or somebody said that they had some Indian in them. Indian. And then Skip Gates goes on Ancestry show, Find Your Roots. He's a coon, paid to deceive his he's not his people, because he's an immigrant. He clearly he's clearly Irish, Black Irish. He said that, and he definitely is that. He doesn't care. You know why he doesn't care about taking your land and your inheritance and everything from you? Because that's what they're here for. He doesn't care about lying to you because you aren't him. He doesn't care about lying to us because he has nothing to lose. He has something to lose if we get ours back. You see? The immigrants have something to lose when we get ours back. And there it is. So this immigrant criminal organization we call the United States persists, right? They persist. And they shadow ban me. They knock you off of face, because if you're watching a video, if they've got lots of views, they're not saying anything that's going to be powerful, anything that's going to give you some answers, that's going to change the dynamics of your life in a real way. They don't have that information. So they get huge views. They're not a threat to the status quo. They're not a threat to the world order. The world order depends on us being on the bottom. That's what the world order depends on. Did you know that? And I know, okay, this is the crazy thing about us. We do well. Despite all of this stuff and the matrix, whatever you want to call it, and the world order, we are successful. We go to college, we don't go to college, we open up our own businesses. We have various economies that we create of our own. We really do. We have sub-economies. That's the Indian way. We have various streams of income. That's also indigenous. So I understand your life is cool. You don't feel pressed. So it doesn't make you feel like you need to change anything, right? Because it's good. I'm retiring. I'm retired. I got a good job. I got benefits. I got a good crib. You don't feel pressed. Right? That's cool that you don't feel pressed. Many of us didn't feel pressed. A lot of my family, I didn't grow up. I mean, we were in the projects after we had this mass exodus from the Eastern Shore. They built the projects in expectation of us. Did you know that? And some Black Europeans built those projects too, because my kinfolk stayed in apartments owned by immigrants that were not Negro, but Black. So a lot of Europeans benefited because they knew in advance that we was coming. Yeah, they knew. They knew we was going to be chased out of our homes, our land in the South. They knew. And so it's not even the really crazy thing, baby. It's not a color thing at all. It is not. It's indigenous versus immigrant. Really, that's what it is. Because these immigrants, they look like us, many of them. And they have been benefiting since they came into the country. And I'm not talking about the Nigerians that came in the 80s, or really they didn't come in the 80s, 90s even. They came in the 80s, 90s. Really, the majority of them came in the 80s and 90s. I'm not talking about them. Early 2000s, many of them. But anyway, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about those people that came after World War II, right? Those people, and those people that they see, this is what it is. This is what the Indians don't notice, right? So I don't know who I'm talking to in the audience, but the Indians don't know that when you come as a European, y'all share information. Y'all have like pathways to success, because you coming here. Because first of all, what the Indians didn't know is why did y'all come? Because word is spread out in where you at, that in America, they're gonna give you this, that, this or that. You can get this, you can get that, and I'll tell you where to get it. And this is what the man gonna do. And you can get a check every daggone month for this and that. See, they come with a foundational undergirding, and it ain't just white people. It's all of the immigrants, because this country, this whole revolution wasn't just a revolution with Great Britain against Great Britain. It was a revolution for the entire planet to take over America, which was the trade center, which was the source, which was the economic stronghold that made daggone Italy, put Italy on, put France on, and then everybody want to get put on by the money they're making over in Americas. Germany was in here, Poland, Dutch, everybody was here. So that's why when you say, why does the United States want to get involved with everything? I don't understand. It's because this place is owned by every place. This corporation is an international corporation owned by a conglomerate of immigrants. Get it? Criminal mob. Yeah, you know, they want Africa's resources, but guess what? Ain't nobody running over there, are they? Why? Because they haven't even hardly tapped into the resources over here. They haven't scratched the surface. Because why? Because the landlords have been here the whole time, kind of oblivious. We don't know what's going on. We're confused about what happened. Know why? Because we got some kind of massive indigenous ADHD where we just forget. 30 years and it's gone. They found that out about us. We forget easy. And we believe folks. You say your grandpa sold my grandpa's land too? Really? I believe you. We don't question it. We don't think people lie because we don't lie like that. That's the fatal flaw. Our trust. Right? Our trust. Fatal flaw of the Indian. Attributing people with qualities that we have that they don't have. Africa has nothing compared to what's over here. Because they couldn't go and hold they couldn't expose all of it. Because in the back of their minds, just like at what's going on with us in the Eastern Shore, they're always afraid that we're going to figure it out and catch them in the act and say, oh, yo, guess what? This is ours. What? We're the Indians. We didn't come from Africa. They're always afraid of that. That's why they have to keep the crime up. They have to keep giving you this, you're from Africa culture, and give you some fake DNA tests, and then tell you where you're from. When DNA can't tell you where you're from, DNA is a person-to-person match. It's not a person-to-geography match, and people move. So the people that are in that region now ain't the people that was there in the 16 or 17 or 1800s. Think. And our blood types ain't even the same. How's our DNA going to be the same? And how you going to find out if you Indian if they ain't exhumed a real Indian? Person to person. Anyway, I got sidetracked. And what I really wanted to do was to share my letter, my notice to the Eastern Shore, because I want them. Let me go back to me because I'm going back. because I want them to know. I want everybody to know that the Eastern Shore of Virginia, they've been notified, and they need to close that park down. And that's the beginning, because we're reclaiming our land, and we don't have to beg anybody, and we're not going to. Biden's been notified. Look through your mail. The Department of the Interior has been notified. Check your mail. Homeland Security has been notified. Check it. 4 congressmen have been notified. Check that. A congressional inquiry into the theft on the Eastern Shore has been demanded via 4 congressmen. Get to work. This real estate fraud, this tax evasion, get to work on this. Oh no, you know why they're not getting to work? Because they already know. Everyone already knows. Because everything exists because of that theft. Everything they have is because of that theft. And y'all, and then the Negro, they so proud. I mean, I'm not saying everybody's stealing. No, I'm not saying that. But even if you are a good immigrant and you've worked for something, you should be upset about the great amount of theft. Honey, judges go and giving their friends property for $0, honey. Whole house and everything. These people are, and the judges and the lawyers, that ain't even their real names. Their names are stolen from indigenous people. Those aren't their real surnames. They may not know that. They might not know that the same kind of thieving person that they are, well, their ancestors were too. They might not know to the degree of it that their actual names, Leatherbury, their actual names are actually Negro names. They might not know. You know, they might not know, but if you check the records, you'll find the color. And then there's a thing, they must do their genealogy, and they just run into a bunch of Negroes. I mean, because that's all they were. I guess they just stopped looking, and I don't know, maybe they don't look. I don't know what they do. But anyway, that's the problem. And so this letter is to say, close it down. Well, yeah, that's right. Bringing Africans in will make you the immigrant, because they hoped when they brought real Africans to our country that we would mix with the Africans. Of course, right? No. Because immediately we can tell they're not us. We have a different energy. We have a different cadence. We have a different everything, and it's unfamiliar. We didn't hear, some drum beat that made us feel home. No, we don't feel that when they come to America. We don't get that. And guess what? They don't get it towards us. They don't want to invite us to their reindeer games. It's very rare when you get into that. You have to really be indoctrinated into being an African in order for you to get into a clique within the African, especially culture. They have very strong kinship groups and very strong tribal bonds that they even stick to in this being here. And they're very biased. So no, that whole intermixing and making us into true African Americans, it worked for a few of us, but not for the smart ones. Not for the smart ones. No, it didn't work. So now you got a bunch of arrogant immigrants here that think that they are the best thing popping because that's what the media told them, and they're sadly mistaken. All the things that we have developed before people got here and even after, And then we think we're some kind of chattel slaves. And you look in the history books, and we were inventing things, becoming doctors, having universities way before emancipation. What are we thinking? In the Revolutionary records, I have my ancestor Bagwell, his brother was a teacher. He was a mogul, transporting white slaves or European slaves here for head rights, for land, and exporting tobacco. And hello, these stories, these lies they tell, our people continue to be great. We're really at our worst now. We've lost so much in the last 40, 50 years that we just don't understand it. We used to have hospitals, 200 hospitals for us, by us, in the 1900s, early 1900s. Now there's one. Howard. Katrina took out, I think, one or two. When I came to Atlanta in the early 90s, there were 2 Negro hospitals here. Now, there's probably 2 or 3 Hindustan, Pakistan hospitals here. I didn't even go to high school with people from Pakistan. They weren't in my graduating class. And I was in New Jersey. That's where they come in. They just got here. And they've already gotten more than what we had before they came here. But they do it with a lot of support. At the same time, we're being held back. Now, see, a lot of these, I'm not going to go into it. We'll have to talk off record and I'll get into what the details of all that shenanigans. But let me tell you, mobster stuff is permitted by these immigrants. These immigrants come in doing mob stuff, and they're allowed to be mobsters, and their crimes are ignored. You know, massage parlors, drug dealing, even though they're supposed to be importing spices from India, and they're importing heroin, things like that. I may be preaching to the choir, y'all know. But anyway, I want to get to the point because I need to announce to these people to get out the park. So here we go. Let me see. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm going to read it from another place because I can't see it. I can't see it. Okay. All right. Let me go back. All right. So I have the names of all these different government officials. Not the government officials. I don't want to call them. These are public servants. Some of them are superintendents of schools. Some of them are working in some kind of office. You're working in some kind of public office. And then there are the special people that are highlighted for various reasons. This is your official notification as Northampton public servants, school principals, etc., to facilitate, publish, and publicly announce widely the use of the property at 7399 Indiantown Road. This is an irrevocable park closure compliance declaration. The Accawmacke Indians hold absolute title of 7399 Indiantown Road. And 7399 Indiantown Road is no longer an illegal, unlawful burial ground desecrating park. It is no more. As a public servant in Accawmacke Indian Territory, you must adhere to this notification and promote and facilitate the final closing of Indiantown Park. Now, mind you, y'all, this park was slated for closure back in 2020. 2020, 2019, something like that. They were already planning to close this park years ago. The only reason they've kept it open was because I started to sue to get the park. Just for spite It's been open for 3 more years. No, 4. 4 more years, just out of spite. You see, if you saw my videos before this, you saw if you're on my YouTube channel, you'll see. If they had just like even said, oh, you guys can be the caretakers or the keepers or the whatever, I probably wouldn't have accepted that. I probably wanted the park. But if they had just given the park back then, just said, oh yeah, we're closing it, we'll grant it to you, Accawmacke, I wouldn't know anything. I wouldn't know a fragment of the things I know about these deceitful devils that I know now. I wouldn't know anything, right? If they had just had the little bit of kindness, but they didn't. The undersigned counsel and leadership for the American Indigenous Accawmacke Indians is writing regard the current concern of the 55-acre lot illegally trespassed at 7399 Indiantown Park Road, Eastville, Virginia, 23347, Northampton County, Virginia, under the direction of the Board of Supervisors, intentionally entered the illegitimate claims and fraudulent court proceedings for the property of 7399 Indiantown Road, Indiantown Park, on the seaside land of my ancestors, which was initially quitclaimed to the Accawmacke Indian Lisa Rena Cypress in May 2021. I said quite, I'm going to typo. Northampton County has illegally and unlawfully barred the Accawmacke Indians from possessing 7399 Indiantown Road property since it was legally claimed by Lisa Rena Cypress on May 2021. When I quitclaimed that to me, I quitclaimed it based on my ancestors, okay? I have 3 ancestors who so-called have the allotments that coordinate to the land of the park. My direct grandparents, not kinfolk, my direct grandparents. Hence, Hampton County, governed by the Board of Supervisors, began trespassing and illegally restricting the Accawmacke territory as of April 11th, 1974. In the newspaper article, they wrote something about some Native Americans buying land. I hadn't even read that, but then when I read that, I said in this declaration, I said this: Native Americans are not first contact Negro American Indians who were duped into fighting in the Revolution. Accawmacks went to court to defend and protect our land. We are listed in the court records, y'all. This patent is listed in the court records. That and others. Accawmacke American Indians had towns and villages, and that should still stand today because colonial law stated the colonizers could not construct a fence less than, actually I put 3, it's actually 5 miles from our Indian town. They could not get within 5 miles from our Indian towns. And the whole freaking eastern shore is an Indian towns. It's all Indian towns. Because we had different clans and bands, sub-tribes. We were advanced, not nomadic. Our land is patented, not presumed. The Siberian natives, Americans, were only first encountered post-Revolutionary War, post-1803 Louisiana Purchase. Native Americans have presumed land, not patented land. Or if they do, like there are some, like the Tulsa, they have patents and stuff. They have some. But for the most part, if you have presumed land and it's not patented, then you allow the USA to bully them into buying land. Accawmacke Indians hold title forever. Even if an immigrant purchased the Accawmacke land, it was not to stay in the immigrant family to build wealth. The land upon the purchaser's death was to return to the Accawmacke. Neither Northampton County nor the United States has any ownership of crown-patented Accawmacke Indian land. Our title as Accawmacke Indian is superior to the United States and predates both Northampton County and the United States government. Northampton County's governing board of supervisors is fully aware that the property is Accawmacke Indian patented land, and you can't own Indian land, especially Indian patented reservation land. You fully know that. The Northampton County Board of Supervisors could not and does not currently own the property of 733 Indiantown Road. You have benefited from the access and the resources of this land illegally and illegitimately. The patented Indian land must always return to the Negro Indian heirs forever. Northampton built a baseball diamond and a disc golf course over our Indian burial ground. Northampton violated the terms in the deed from the U.S., which stipulated they must maintain and protect the Indian burial ground. Hold on a minute. Let me change the view. Okay. All right. Yeah. Deeds are inferior titles. The crown patent of land is the supreme title to the land. This land has always belonged to the Accawmacke. Northampton may not take our land and make a park, and they may not make it a park. Criminal, land theft, identity theft, and genocide by miseducation Indians. To this day, people have Accawmacke Indian surnames pretending to be the Indian landowners and have built a lineage of economic advantage. Smith Beach Road is riddled with tax fraud, tax evasion, and identity theft, as is the entire Eastern Shore. United, criminal states. Many of the public officials allegedly facilitate these crimes. The alleged malfeasance includes Consuelo Gonzalez's allegedly refusing to publish on the Tax Vision website and post illegal announcements for the 29 quitclaim deeds paid for and recorded in the court by the Accawmacke Indians. 29 paid for and recorded, but yet they send a letter that says, oh, we can't transfer. They don't have the power to not transfer or transfer. They record it and they publish it. Sending out that letter is a crime. Unless the only reason they should send a letter is if your details of it's illegible, they can't read it, the details are not on there that they need. That's the only reason they could say they could. And then they should tell you at the time of recordation that they can't record it. You don't send out a letter and say you can't transfer it, because that's not your duty. And this woman was just a real estate a real estate clerk or a real estate assistant. Now she's the commissioner of the revenue. First generation born on the Eastern Shore from an immigrant, from a migrant worker. And now she's telling us, people that have lived in this territory forever, that she can't transfer our property back to us. Like, yeah, sorry, there's no remedy for y'all. Even when you do understand who you are, even when you finally figure it out, even when you fight in various methods You are not going to give back what you have stolen. And you're going to help the thieves, Consuelo allegedly. To be clear, and the continued criminal terrorism conducted by the powers that have illegally immigrated into our Virginia will stop now. Good people will stand up against greedy predators. There's got to be a good person out there. I swear, there has got to be one good person out there that gives a damn. There's got to be. Everybody can't be that corrupt, can they? Like, seriously. I mean, I stopped reading. Let me read again. Good people will stand up against greedy predators who give away thousands of acres to each other for free while they fine Indigenous impoverished people for a track in the yard. The level of unchecked land theft, real estate fraud, and tax evasion is incomprehensible to the average person. This is business as usual on the Eastern Shore. It ends now. The Accawmacke Indian land is auctioned off for a few tax dollars while other people on the Eastern Shore evade all manner of taxes. Even when one of the founders of Bay Creek, a development company on the Eastern Shore, was sent to jail for tax fraud, they didn't even bother to take a look around and get all the rest of the criminals that are living in those houses on the Eastern Shore and collect them all up. They didn't even bother. He was doing what the local folks told him he could do because everybody's doing it. Either you're doing it or you're looking the other way. That's what's going on. So if you say, I'm not doing it, if you're one of these people saying, oh, I'm not doing it. Oh, my battery's about to die. Shoot, damn this world. And I don't even have my plug. Okay, so let me get through with this. William Strachey wrote in 1612 that the first contract Virginia Indians were color brown with big lips and gross hair. Yet in today's time, Dr. Helen Roundtree wrote that the Virginia Indians were white. Helen Roundtree was hired, as most historians are hired, to conceal colonial corruption and crimes. She falsely recorded that the Indians were poor and sold off their land, when the truth is the same Negroes that they said sold off and they paid their debts, and these Negroes had multiple land holdings. They were far from poor, and they were smart enough, you could tell, because they would go ahead, use their land to get loans, to get money, pay it off, and then get their land back. They knew how to daggone manage their resources. You can look in the records. I look at my family records and I see that. But the same person that did that, she writes and claims that she sold everything off and they were impoverished. Liar. I'm off the letter now, of course. But anyway, now I'm back to the letter. The Eastern Shore has long had a large population of free, prosperous, land-owning Negro Indians. Even Dr. Roundtree accidentally admitted that many surnames popular today are known as Accawmacke Indian surnames. The same Indian surnames were stolen by many poor and orphan immigrants to take the land. In 1921, Walter Precker reclassified the full-blooded American Indians into Negroes and colored. Both are paper genocide. I'm actually going to go off camera for a minute, but I'm going to keep reading. I'm going to go get my plug because I didn't think I was going to run out of juice before I finish my live. What? Okay, so let me try that. Hold on. Let me see. But anyway, let me get back to the reading. Sorry, y'all. Before the paper genocide, in 1661, slave codes put the American Indians in servitude. Today, historical societies on the Eastern Shore are changing the Negro, aka American Indians, into people of African origins, inserting African American to erase and dilute. Do not accept African American. I went to the Rotors Club, did a whole talk, ended it and inserted all throughout it. Do not call us African American, whatever you do. Then the same damn Rotors Club puts up a sign saying Indigenous and African people. And my own cousin designed a friggin' sign. What is wrong with everybody? Do you not know genocide when you see it? When they change your identity, why are they changing your identity? Why are they calling Frederick Douglass and all our historical people African when they never called themselves African? It's genocide. The American Indians are the Negroes, and there was no such thing as Africans as imported indentured servants. And the records show, the court records show, that the people on the Eastern Shore were indentured servants. Workers, having temporary workers that work for a time, temps. You don't go to Africa to get temporary help, okay? It's not fiscally, financially, physically feasible. It's illogical. And the 1619 rhetoric is genocide, and that's completely false. That is a completely fictitious story, and I can prove it with the colonial London records that I have before me. Funding museums to support an African American history is colonization supported genocide, daggone, facilitated by yours truly, President Obama. Sadly, we've been miseducated to believe lies to support USA organized criminal land theft. Nothing in America was discovered or found. It was preyed upon, invaded, and stolen. The lies supported the continued possession of a stolen land and resources. It stops now. I inserted a copy of Strategy, which describes that we were generally of color brown. Our hair is black, long and thick. The men have no beards because the women shave them. Only the elders could have beards. That's my insert. The noses are broad and flat and full at the ends, and great big lips, wide mouths, yet nothing so unsightly as the Moors. We were not the Moors. They are generally tall of stature and straight and of comely proportion, and the women have handsome limbs, slender arms, pretty hands, and when they sing, they have a delightful and pleasant tang in their voices. I also inserted the part of the deed from the daggone United States to the county that said the grantee shall protect and maintain the Indian burial grounds located on the property where herein conveyed. President Biden, the Department of the Homeland Security, the state, the police, the congressman Bill DeStaff, Congressman Tim, Congresswoman Jen Kennings, Congresswoman Nikema Williams have all been informed about the obscene level of the current day continued land theft and fraud on the Eastern Shore. And I did not write this in there, but I have asked for a congressional inquiry into it. And I have let them know that we are reclaiming our stolen land. The USA has no authority over patented Accawmacke Indian land. We now fully declare our ownership and our rights to the land. The USA has no authority, nor does the Supreme Court. You must remove your signs and equipment and vacate the many years' rent to the Accawmacke Indians. The park and the illegally occupies Negro Accawmacke Indian patent protected property. The patent is a law. The patent is the title. We, the Accawmacke, are the supreme title holders to the land. There is never a statute of limitations on a land patent. Cornell Law School, 25 U.S. Code 194, the trial of right of land, the burden of proof of the U.S. Code. All trials about the right of in which an Indian may be a party on one side and a white person on the other, the burden of proof shall rest upon the white person, whenever the Indian shall make out a presumption of title in himself from the fact of the previous possession of ownership. Thank you, John Blocker. Supreme Court ruling in 1832 says the Cherokee versus the nation versus Georgia. Oh, my battery is running low. This is I say at the end after I cite some more court cases that it is the first and last demand for them to vacate the land. That to vacate the land and relinquish the premises of the subject property you are currently illegally continuing to trespass. And I said also, I'm about to go off my live, but remove all online and internet presence of Indiantown Park that show that everyone is aware of this. I'm going to continue to make sure everyone is aware of this. Remove your soccer field, your baseball pads, your cement pads, your disc golf baskets, your bling sets, your soccer cages, and all other equipment. Any equipment remaining after June 21st, I thought I gave them till May, but I guess I gave them to June. To June 21st, 2024, will become the property of the Accawmacke Indians. See, I was generous. I thought I gave them till May. I gave them till June. Okay. And I signed it, and I left my numbers and the, website and all that stuff, and, et cetera, et cetera. So, I'm about done. My battery's about to die. So, that's the declaration that I gave to over 150 of the public servants that are supposed to be serving, and that hit them about last Tuesday, last Wednesday. So now it's time for them to do what they're supposed to do. I'd like you to put pressure on these people. Northampton County Board of Supervisors, call them up, let them know how you feel, email them, text them. All their information's online. Northampton County, Virginia. They need to shut it down. Shut the park down. Thank you, you guys. More to come. I'll be back in, maybe in a few days. I'll come back and give you some updates, maybe some live videos. But I'm about to be, I'm going to wear this out. I'm going to wear it out. Because when you're doing real things, you need real people to know. Peace. Anna.